Hey folks, Captain Mikey here, Sawgrass Fishing Charters in beautiful, sunny Florida. Well folks, welcome to another episode of my weekly tips, tricks, and techniques videos. My weekly series of short videos that are focused on how-tos, product knowledge, a whole bunch of tips, tricks, and techniques that are geared towards making you all more knowledgeable and better anglers altogether. What we're talking about today, guys, is how to fish a Senko. Well folks, this week we're going to focus in on a technique that almost every one of us utilizes out there, but maybe don't know how to do it exactly properly. Or maybe you haven't tried it yet and you're a little intimidated by it, but you shouldn't be, because this lure is something that almost every bass fisherman will have in their arsenal and should know how to use because it's absolute dynamite. Guys, what we're going to be talking about today is how to fish a Senko. Fishing a Senko can be one of the most diverse lures that you have in your tackle box out there today. There's so many ways to fish one of these things, and it's really effective in just about every variety of it. So what I'm going to focus on today, though, is I'm going to teach you 3 of my favorite methods to fish a Senko weightlessly. Senko is definitely one of the oddest looking worms out there. It seems so very simple, it's so very basic, but it has a very unique action to it that drives those bass wild. And one of the reasons why I like to focus on fishing my Senkos weightlessly is it allows that lure, this worm, to do what it's supposed to do, to have that natural action that it was actually designed to do. Sometimes you put a weight on it and it doesn't impede that action a little bit, or it gives it a whole different action altogether. When I fish my Senkos weightlessly, it's one of the easiest and most simple methods that there are out there. You very easily, all you need is a Senko of some sort, and you're going to need an extra wide gap hook. Nothing special on that, or it doesn't have to be a heavy extra stout hook, a heavy wire hook. Doesn't need to be an extra thin hook out there. Just your average 3/0 or 4/0 extra wide gap hook, and you're just going to rig it Texas rig just like that. Now when I'm fishing my Senkos weightlessly, I always use fluorocarbon line. And I do that for a very specific reason, guys. Fluorocarbon actually sinks. Unlike your braid or your monofilament or even your copolymers, which tend to float and be a little bit more buoyant, fluorocarbon will sink alongside of that lure, allowing it to have the actual action that it's supposed to have. When a Senko sinks weightlessly, it has that little shimmy, that little shake to it that drives those bass wild. And if I'm using a braided line or even a monofilament, that line tends to float up and be a little more buoyant, which is dragging that lure along. So it sinks down this way rather than sinking down straight, which is how you want it. I go with about a 15-pound fluorocarbon, anywhere from 12 to 15. I use 15 because I do fish a lot of heavy structure a lot. So I like the abrasive resistance of the 15-pound fluorocarbon. Now before I get out there and show you some of these techniques on how to actually fish weightless Senko out there, I'll go over the gear that I like to use when I'm fishing with these weightless Senkos. I prefer to go with my casting equipment myself. A lot of you guys can use your spinning rods out there. A lot of people will use spinning rods. That's perfectly fine. I just get into a lot of heavy cover, so I like the casting equipment. But I don't want to go too heavy on that because we are using a fairly light lure out there and you're fishing on a slack line a lot of this time. I like to go with my 7-foot medium power moderate action rod. A medium power rod as opposed to a medium heavy or even a heavy rod when I'm fishing weightless Senkos. I got plenty of power in this rod to be able to pull in those big fish, but I don't have too much power. I'm not overpowering them because I'm fishing on a slack line all the time. That moderate bend doesn't necessarily pull that lure away from the fish's mouth too quickly out there. It gives it a little more time to grab that lure and pull on it before my rod snaps back and pulls the lure right out of the fish's mouth. So that's what I like to use. I like my 7-foot medium action with a moderate fast tip for fishing weightless Senko. It's the diversity of a Senko that makes it one of the most effective lures there are in the bass world today. You can fish it weightlessly, you can fish it wacky rig, you can fish it with a Texas rig with a weight makes an excellent punching bait. You can also put them on top of a shaky head or any other kind of jig head, and they work fantastic that way too. The diversity of a Senko is unbelievable and undeniable how well it catches fish. But today I'm going to show you my 3 favorite techniques to fish a weightless
One
Senko.
of my favorite methods is a very slow approach. And that's the key to fishing any kind of soft plastic bait. It is a slow approach. There's no point in rushing things out here because you're just not going to get the effect that this lure is supposed to do if you try to rush through things. This isn't power fishing. This isn't quite finesse fishing. It's just slow-mo fishing. That's all it is. So we've got our Senko rigged up. We're just going to cast it out. And you're going to let it sink. And that's about it. Let that lure do what it's supposed to do. Let that Senko get that little shimmy and sink all the way down. But what you really want to do here, guys, is pay very close attention to your line at all times. You're fishing on a slack line, so it's very important to see what's going to happen. You're looking for any kind of pops, twitches, bumps, anything going on. A lot of these hits, actually the majority of your hits on a Senko fishing this way, are going to be on that drop, on that initial fall. So, pay very close attention to that line. Once it's out there and you realize it's gotten to the bottom, go ahead, reel up your slack a little bit, and you're just going to lift the rod tip, pulling that lure up off the bottom, and drop it back down. Reel up a little bit of that slack because you're moving forward a little bit, but leave it on that slack line, and let that Senko do its thing. Let it sink again. It's on the bottom, you're going to do that, reel that slack up a little bit more, pull it up, drop, reel it in. You're moving the Senko with your rod, not with your reel. That's the whole point of the slow fishing like this, is to move it with the rod and not with the reel. You go really slow. Pay attention to that line at all times because you never know when something's going to take it. Pay very close attention to that line at all times. Any kind of extra twitch, pop, jerk, anything that looks a little out of the ordinary, get ready to reel in that slack and set that hook as fast as you can. Back on the bottom, reel the slack up, lift it up. Lift it up a whole rod length right up to about 12 o'clock again. Drop it back down. The only reeling I'm going to do here is to pick up some of that slack as my lure came forward a bit. And that's it. It's an absolutely deadly method of fishing a Senko weightlessly by letting it do its thing, letting it drop. That's it. That's all there is to it, to that method. Now another method that I like to use that I find very effective when fishing with Senkos here like this, when fishing with Senkos weightlessly, is they actually work very well as a type of jerk bait. So again, it's a very similar method. You're going to cast it out there. You're going to let it sink a little bit. We're going to let it sink till, maybe we'll get something on the action of the fall here. But this time what we're going to do is on a semi-slack line, we're going to reel up half our line and we're going to point our rod tip down towards the water. And we're going to give it little pops. Pop and reel, pop and reel, pop, pop, reel, pop, reel, pop, reel. Basically that's it. Just giving it little twitches, little pops, and reeling in that slack, keeping it a semi-slack line. That Senko is already sank about halfway distance, so it's sitting underneath the water by a few feet. And it's going side to side like a little jerkbait. You're working this very much like you would a jerkbait, at about a moderate speed, a moderate action. Again, we'll show you again. Cast it right out, let it sink a little bit. Give it that slack to let it sink. Keep your eyes on that line, make sure nothing's taking it, make sure it doesn't pop or twitch. And once you feel that it's got down to a decent depth there, that you feel comfortable with, go ahead, reel up that slack, get a semi-slack line, point the rod down, and pop and reel, pop and reel. At about a medium pace is what I would call it. A medium or moderate pace. And that's working it like a jerkbait along the middle water column. And this can be a very deadly, especially when you got those suspended schools of bass, or whenever you're going out there, the suspended bass die where a Senko weightlessly works through that middle of the water column. It's an absolutely deadly method. Now another method that I have that I like to work when I'm working with weightless Senkos like this is very similar to that, but it works a lot better when you're in heavier weed cover, things along those lines, or in really shallow water. Cast it out into that cover, right into that cover. Don't give it that chance to sink, guys, and just start working it real fast, twitches, pops, all the way across the top. This is imitating a darting bait fish, going through all the heavy cover, working it on the surface or just underneath of it. It can be an absolutely dynamite method, and it can actually trigger some extremely explosive bites. This is working it very much like you would a popper or a fast-moving popping frog, something like that. But it is moving that lure very quick. We're not doing that moderate medium pace anymore. This is a fast pace that we're moving that lure at, keeping it just above, just on the surface or just below it. And it'll dart side to side, it'll move at tons of action on there. A simple lure, something as simple as a Senko, can be fished in so many different methods. And it can be one of the deadliest lures you've got in your arsenal out there. Don't be afraid to try it, guys. Fish those Senkos weightlessly. You can absolutely slay them fishing like this. And that's it, guys. It's just that simple. 3 different techniques to work a Senko weightlessly that'll hopefully help you have a much better time on your next trip on your own body of water out there. Whether you let it sink nice and slow and hopefully get that bite on the drop, or you're working through the middle of the water column slowly like a jerk bait, or you burn it across the surface like a shad fleeing through heavy cover. Either which way, hopefully one of these tricks will help you get a bigger fish and better bag next time you're out there. Well, guys, I really hope you did enjoy this. I hope you liked this video. And if you did, make sure you smash that like button down there. And leave a comment. Leave a comment on anything else you'd like to see me make a video of. I'll do my very best to make those videos for you guys. And of course, subscribe to the channel, guys. If you already subscribed, stay subscribed, because there's plenty more coming in Sawgrass Bass and Feeding. Well, guys, I really hope you did enjoy this, and I thank you very much for stopping by. And tune in next week for next week's tips, tricks, and techniques video. Until then, guys, as I always say, the future is bright. You keep those lines tight.